Today we're going to be talking about the Rokinon 24mm f2.8 autofocus for the A7 III. So let's do this. What's up, YouTube? Today's gonna be a little bit shorter of a review. There's some construction going on next to us, and I heard this like buzzing noise, and I was like, man, what are they doing over there? I was like, maybe I'll wait them out for like 20 or 30 minutes and see if something changes. I started to actually pack up the studio. I was like, nope, no video this week, whatever, I'm done. But then I realized that the noise was actually coming from my office. And I went over to my computer, and surely enough, it was a freaking external hard drive. I'm a little concerned that that hard drive is entirely loud enough to where it messes with my audio. So yeah, I'll be looking into that. So it's gonna be a little bit quicker of a review. I've been holding off on doing a review on this Rokinon lens because I wanted some time with the lens. I always like to have time with these lenses to make sure that they are actually ones that I would potentially recommend. But I finally felt like it was time because of that video that I posted last week about the Sony a6000 in low light. And the reason why that video prompted me to finally make this review is because I actually felt like this lens had the better of the shots that were in that video. And there's only like 2 or 3 shots with this lens. So per usual, I'm gonna give you my thoughts on the Rokinon 24mm f2.8 autofocus. Let's get into some pros and cons of this lens. The first pro for me is the focal length. Before I moved to the A7 III, one of the lenses I was using was a Sigma 16mm f1.4. And on an APS-C body, that's the equivalent of a 24mm. And so I was used to that focal length, for my YouTube videos. I really enjoy 24mm simply because it's not super wide, but it's wide enough. So that was one pro for me. It's just the focal length. I really enjoy that full frame 24mm. The next pro for me is the autofocus. I felt like this had some amazing autofocus. Because of that autofocus, this is a really great YouTube or vlogging lens. Anybody that's in front of a camera that really needs solid autofocus, this is a really good lens for that, which is impressive because if you're not familiar with Rokinon, Rokinon is primarily a manual lens company. A lot of the lenses they've made over the years have been manual lenses where you've had to manually focus them. So having them make an autofocus lens that was just blazing fast, just really awesome pro for me. So that's another one, is the autofocus. I feel like I'm going really fast, but I'm like racing the clock. We have like family dinner in like 30 minutes. And so I'm trying to get everything in. So yeah, let's keep going. And so the next pro for me is going to be the size. This is an amazing gimbal lens. This is such a small lens, and it's awesome because I can throw this on the a6000 and it doesn't seem like the a6000 is substantially bigger, as opposed to something like the Tamron. If I throw that on there, I've almost doubled the size of my a6000 because it's just a little bit larger of a lens. And with the compact size, I can use something like the A7 III on my DJI Ronin SC and not feel like it's not gonna be able to handle the weight. But in contrast, if I put my Tamron on the A7 III, if I go into underslung mode, there's a chance I may hit the eyepiece. And so having this small lens with great autofocus makes it for an amazing gimbal lens. So if you're looking for a really good gimbal lens for your A7 III, look no further. This is it. Let me just introduce you. Hello, world. This is your Rokinon lens. Another pro for me is its price, and I feel like this is just a trend of my channel. If you haven't figured out by now, most of the time I'm going to list price, and if you haven't figured out by now, I love budget lenses. Honestly, like it gives me no greater joy other than like real things in the world, like being a parent and things like that. But other than that, it gives me so much joy to find really good lenses at really good prices. I'm currently doing that now for some things in the future. Wink, wink. So having a lens, which I think is at $270 at time of filming, and I'll confirm it somewhere on the screen, but having a lens at that price with all these pros that I'm mentioning is just making it a great alternative to some more expensive lenses. And honestly, that's one reason I love Rokinon lenses. Rokinon lenses to me are one of the best budget alternative lenses. And a lot of the times it's because they're manual lenses, and so maybe it doesn't cost as much to make. But in this scenario, this is an autofocus lens for this price. Yes. Thank you, Rokinon. So those are all my pros for the Rokinon, But what are the cons? What are the cons? One is the build quality. It seems like a well-made lens, but it's all plastic. And so you don't want to drop this lens. Now, that being said, it's $270. So if you drop this lens, it may not be the end of the world. You might just have a really bad day. And so you have the build quality, that's a con for me. But another thing I've noticed is how it transmits color. I find that it's really saturated, really rich colors. In and of itself, that may not be a bad thing, but when you're trying to match it up against other lenses, it can be kind of a bad thing. That's one thing, is just, it seems very almost oversaturated with the colors, but that's where it's a little bit of a pro. The reason why that video last week was the final straw of me doing this review, because it saturated the colors a little bit more, I felt like it actually made my night footage seem less washed out and grainy. And so that's where it's kind of like a con, but it can be a pro in some scenarios. So really and truthfully, you just kind of have to be mindful of it. Know what you're getting when you're getting this lens as far as how it produces colors. You may work a little bit harder trying to match the colors of this lens to maybe some of the other lenses in your kit as well. But those are really the only cons I have for this lens, was just the build quality and just a little bit of an oversaturation with the colors. But other than that, I think this is a great budget alternative for a 24mm for your a7 III. If you're looking at budget lenses, budget options for your a7 III, we all know that full frame lenses are not cheap. Honestly, one of the reasons why I may be getting out of full frame. And that's something that often people don't consider when they're moving to full frame. They just get this idea that, oh man, I'm getting a full frame camera, this is awesome. But you have to realize, to keep buying lenses in this system, you either have to find some awesome budget alternative like this, or spend a lot of money to buy a full frame lens to look good on your camera. So who would I recommend this tiny little lens for? If you're looking for a budget alternative for 24mm, if you're looking for a good gimbal lens, great gimbal lens. If you're looking for a small compact lens, boom, this is it. So with all that, I think you should check out the 24mm f2.8 from Rokinon, the autofocus version. And if you're interested in this lens, use the link below in the description. There will be an affiliate link. If you want to help support the channel, use the link in the description to buy this lens. So that's it for me. I know this has been a little bit quicker of a review since I'm battling father time. I think that still applies in the span of like 30 minutes, but sure. So I hope this has been helpful. I hope this kind of answers the question of, is this a good budget alternative lens? And I truly, truly think it is. So with that, if you enjoyed this video, give it a like. If you're digging the content coming from the channel, consider subscribing. Question of the day: what are some good budget alternative lenses for full frame, for any really camera system that you are kind of like secret weapon? Let me know in the comments below. And as always, go and find your journey, go embrace life, go shoot some wide angle videography or photography and live a happier life. Maybe. I'll see you guys here next time. Peace. I don't know if I can cover the lens because we're just gonna leave it here. I think if I do this, I think if I cup it, I think I have to cup it. Peace. Nope, still too wide. So the problem with doing that is the fact that this lens here is a wide angle lens and it's built kind of like a fisheye. And so the front element is just protruding just a little bit. It's like a rounded shape. That's gonna seriously flaw how I exit videos. We have to change that. I don't want to do the Peter McKinnon. Don't want to, no. Peace. Ninja vanish. Am I gone? No, you can still see my back. Oh, dang it. All right, now I'm gone.